ways in which the wife can stay home and be industrious in her own family at home?
Well, if you look at the first objection that you would think about somebody that maybe hasn't thought about it too well or too thoroughly is, stay home, are you kidding me? No way, Generally speaking, when you look at like how much it costs to drive to work, how much it costs to make an extra car payment, how much it costs for extra car insurance, how much it costs for the babysitting, how much it costs for the extra food to eat out, the clothing you have to wear at work. So anyhow, if somebody sits down with a pencil and paper and does the math, they see that they're really not making what they thought they were. Put that in perspective, what is that all about? I mean, $25 an hour, I mean, you can make $25 an hour from home. I mean, you can cut all those business expenses and not have to work that many hours.
What ways can you make $25 an hour from home?
To talents and skills that different people may have or may want to develop or pursue. And then promoting those skills and talents. The idea was to rethink the whole strategy, and therefore, when this whole strategy, when you rethink it and you rework it, and you start adding things up, and you really look at it with a microscope, with pen and paper, and there's more than one way to achieve, to achieve things, and in order to have a more peaceful lifestyle, a conducive to peaceful, happy, content marriage, or even content family.
Well, I think that a wife is a lot more content when she doesn't have to deal with the stresses of every day going into work and dealing with just having to work, and maybe she's having to deal with sexual innuendos, or maybe there's just people that at work that are
just a lot of different pressures from just being around people that you normally wouldn't maybe be around or choose to be around.
What about couples that there's a rising, the statistics are going up, there's articles online, and there's a lot of couples that aren't even sleeping in the same room together, in the same bed anymore, because their schedules are so different. They're working 68 or 80 hours, like you just said, and when they come home, they don't want to wake up their wife or wake up their husband, and so they end up sleeping in different rooms. So
well, again,
what's the biblical application on that?
It's just consistent with everything we've just said, is that, that kind of an environment produces people that are heading in different directions. Pretty much. I mean, it may not seem like that at first, but slowly and eventually, that is what is happening. And, you have a situation where people aren't really putting their spouses first. They're putting their work and their money goals first, and so what you sow you reap. And when you sow that kind of environment, it's going to come back to you.
The biblical application on that is, do not defraud each other except for a time, because you might be tempted. If they're not sleeping together, that could cause some problems. marriage needs intimacy. Sex is part of marriage,
you
and
can't-
if couples aren't being,
Yeah, you
know,
can't. That doesn't work. I
that's-
mean, I didn't go into detail,
there's
but
going to be some problems in the marriage. That's probably one of the reasons why there's so much adultery and unfaithfulness in marriage too.
well, that scenario is more like roommates.
Yeah.
You know, people start feeling like they're just living with a roommate.
And the thing is that the more couples stay apart from each other like that, the less close they feel with one another. You need to give love to receive it, and if neither one of them's giving any love, you're not going to receive anything.
I just think that that scenario is on a shaky foundation, just all the way around. I'm not saying that a woman can't have something that she, for example, like she volunteers at a center for young women.
Yes,
She counsels.
it's a pregnancy place that she volunteers at to help women not to abort their babies, but to give them up for adoption to families that can't have kids,
So
which is a very neat.
So she fulfills
Okay.
that need of not focusing on yourself so much. I think that when you have more time, you can be more of a giver, as we are called to be, which is what we do with this ministry. I mean, if we were obviously working 50, 60 hours a week, if I was working 50, 60 hours a week at some money-chasing job, and you were doing the same thing, when would we have time for this ministry to help others? So this woman here that is the wife of a minister friend, same concept. She's not necessarily just staying at home baking all day. I mean, they're older, they don't have children, and she is able to fulfill herself in that particular way by going and volunteering for this women's center.
She also does handmade woven crafts, and she looms and makes all kinds of things that she can sell at
she's more
crafts
creative.
and fairs.
She's able to express her creativity. She has more self-expression and therefore more fulfillment and contentment
That's right.
in life. So this is what we do. It's what we advocate others work at doing, and it's what people we know is how they.
Housewife and a mother and a wife, she has to balance out her things that she does at home with things that she enjoys.
Well, you know, some people
whatever it is, sewing, baking.
Well, there's a way that seems right for a man or a woman, but it doesn't lead to happiness. I mean, that reminds me of someone that just doesn't have a vision of where that behavior leads to. And there's an awful lot of people that live that way for the moment, because this is what makes me feel good now. See where that behavior is leading, which is to a broken family, divorce, unruly children, and bad health. Okay, well, we're not saying that that we're staying home looking at each other all day doing nothing.
Right.
We're saying that the focus and the foundation is not upside down. It's the home environment. know, and when that's the foundation and the focus, and it's not
That's
it's
right.
not to be distorted into everyone has to sit home and look at each other, because I had somebody say that to me, what are we going to do, sit home and look at each other? No, that's not what we're saying, but that's the focus. It always comes back to
I think
to the
people
home.
need to find their creativity.